Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lara, or Lara Likes Mascara, and I have been project panning for approximately 5 years now. I started on a makeup low-buy, makeup conscious consumerism journey back in 2019. Well, 2019 is when I started changing my mindset. I don't know that it was really implemented fully until 2020, but this journey started in 2019 at least. And then 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and now 2025, I have been project panning. I feel like I should do a little bit of a definition of what that means, but basically it's just trying to use up your makeup. Anyone can implement a project pan, but on YouTube, this refers to people through video talking about the makeup products that they are making a conscientious effort to finish or to pan. For whatever reason, when you finish a product, it's called like project pan. Or when you hit the bottom of a powder product, for example, like you see the very bottom of the container, that's called hitting pan. And I honestly don't even know who came up with this as a video idea or a video series, but it has been flourishing in the underconsumption niche of the beauty community for many years now. Although I would say with growing popularity. I did not hear of it until 2020, and now it seems like it is everywhere. Although probably part of that is just because that's the community I'm in, so I see a lot of those videos. That's the kind of videos that YouTube and TikTok push towards me. So it seems like I'm kind of swimming in this area. And I am so grateful for it because Project Pan has been such a helpful avenue for me to finish up my makeup products and for figuring out what to do with makeup products that I don't necessarily love or that I have never been able to organically reach for. It's a great way to incentivize myself to actually use those products. A few months ago, I saw a video on YouTube that intrigued me. It was called something like, "What's the end goal of Project Pan?" This was not a creator I was familiar with. It was just suggested to me on YouTube because the YouTube algorithm thought I might like it. YouTube was correct. I did in fact click on that video, and this was months ago now, so I don't even remember what the gist of the video was, but just that question, that video title really got me thinking, and I kind of wanted to do my own spin on that video. I do want to credit that creator, so I will link them down below. Everyone has their own interpretation of project panning. They do it for different reasons. They do it in different ways and, have different number of updates, different types of products. And of course, everyone has a very different makeup collection. So project panning looks different to everyone, but there are some similarities, I think, between everyone's project pans. And so that is why we get so invested in other people's project pans and why people love this type of video. I think also because we like to be motivated personally. If we see someone else who is doing a great job at finishing their makeup products, it helps us to think that we can do that as well. This is how I feel, at least. If people are doing decluttering videos, that is motivational to me to declutter. So yeah, people love this kind of content, and it's also just so satisfying to see visual progress, whether it be on a blush or a lipstick or whatever. There's just something satisfying. I think it's like when you see missing pieces in a puzzle and then you press those missing pieces in and then it's a full puzzle. It's just like there's something so satisfying about completion to us. But the thing about project panning is that, at least for me, I never thought long term about project panning, because if we follow it to its logical end, if you pan all the items in your project and then you move on to other makeup products in your collection, eventually you will finish off everything. Is that the goal, to complete every single makeup product in your collection? Now, I know this is a very, very far-fetched idea because most of us, especially those of us who are project panning, we probably have collections that need to be panned. We got into this because we recognized that our collection was far too large, and so we wanted to implement project pan in order to sort of try to minimize that through makeup panning. So the idea of ever finishing off one's makeup collection, that is pie in the sky. I don't think it's achievable in my own lifetime, even if I never purchased another makeup product again, even just thinking about like blushes or eyeshadows. I don't even have that many eyeshadows. I have, I think, 12 or 13 eyeshadow palettes, and I don't think they could realistically be used up in my lifetime. Blush, maybe, because I generally am floating somewhere between like 10 and 17 blushes, if we're considering both powder and cream. And so maybe I could finish up those blushes within my lifetime, but not eyeshadow. So keeping all that in mind, it is pretty unrealistic to expect us to ever finish our makeup collection. I don't think that's the end goal, but that gets you thinking, like, what is the end goal? Why are we panning? What are we hoping to achieve? And I think for me personally, my Project Pan goals have changed over the years as my makeup collection has changed, as my makeup mindset has changed, and my makeup preferences. So let's talk about it. Also, I did dye my hair about a month ago and it has already faded. I faded it like a medium, sort of caramelly with hints of red undertone brown. And now it's not as light as it was pre-dyeing, but it's definitely lighter. And I don't know if I should dye it again or use a different dye to ensure that it lasts longer. I don't know. I gotta decide what to do with my hair. Did want to address that. I think my central question when it comes to the end goal of Project Pan is this project about the process, the actual process of using up your makeup products, or is it about getting to a collection you love? I think one is more short term and one is more long term. Like, what is the goal here? And this definitely differs depending on the person. But for me personally, I think it's both. When I first started project panning, my collection was so big and so overwhelming that yes, I wanted to get to a smaller makeup collection and something more curated, but that was so far off that I couldn't even contemplate that. And so initially my goal was really just to use up specific makeup products, and I definitely focused on the things that were already almost finished or things that I really liked or really disliked and just wanted to get out. Like, I started out with manageable goals because, and unfortunately I don't know the initial number of makeup products in my collection when I started this journey. My guess would be somewhere around 225, might be somewhere closer to 250. I really don't know. When I started tracking, my collection was about 175, and that was in 2022, I believe. So 2 years prior, it was quite a bit bigger. I did declutter quite a few things, but also obviously panning quite a few things. And so it wasn't realistic to think, I would love my collection to get down to 125 makeup products when I had 225 makeup products. Like, unless I was doing a massive declutter where I literally got rid of half of my collection, you know, those videos where it's captions like, getting rid of half of my makeup collection, which, to be clear, I was never going to do. I wanted to curate things down in a sustainable way. And so it didn't make sense to think about the end goal or what my makeup collection would look like when it was like perfect. You know, I knew that I had to take small steps in order to get to that point, and then it would be a long, long journey. And here we are 6 years later, and there are still makeup products in my collection that I don't love, that I don't reach for, that I am trying to pan, and it's still so, so big despite curating, decluttering, panning for 6 years. So I was right in thinking that it would be really difficult to curate it down. And so it made sense to focus on individual products rather than the collection as a whole. But over the past few years, I think I've transitioned more to thinking more holistically about the overall size of my collection. And it has been more about getting to a collection I love. The Project Pan has been in service of curating down that collection. Even though Project Pan is just focused on, 8 to 10 products, and we're looking at a 150 product size collection. All of that is because I want to get it down with baby steps. So I think my goals of project panning are both the process and the journey of panning makeup products, but also the end goal of having a collection that works for me and that I love. But for you, it might be different. For you, it might be just one or the other. I have done quite a few videos about why I love project panning and what I've learned from project panning, so I will go ahead and link that sort of content here. But I personally have used it as a tool to get myself to finish products that I would not organically be able to finish. Every year I track all the products that I have finished through panning over the course of that year, and I figure out how many of those things I panned through project panning and how many of those were organic panning. And it is such a small percentage of them that are organic panning, because truly, if I did not have these goals in place, if I did not have this project and this challenge for myself, I just would not be incentivized to do it. I think a good analogy is I play violin, so I am in an orchestra. It's like a community amateur orchestra. People are sort of at different levels, but many of them are semi-professional. And throughout the sort of school year, from September to May, we have rehearsals, we have quite a few concerts, but then we get the summer off. So end of May to September, we have no rehearsals, we have no concerts, and it's a really nice break. And when I have rehearsals, when I have pieces of music to practice, I practice, particularly when we are in the week or two leading up to a concert. I'm trying to practice for about an hour, maybe 5 days a week. But in the summer, when we don't have concerts, I don't practice at all. I need that motivation. I need that reason to practice, that threat of an upcoming concert that I need to be ready for in order to actually practice. I cannot incentivize myself to do it otherwise. And that's kind of how it is with Project Pan. If I wasn't holding myself accountable through this project, I would probably not reach for certain makeup items. I would just reach for my favorite products every single day. And as much as I love those products and I want to get use out of them, I also want to reach for the hard to get use out of products, because I enjoy those products too. And I have them for a reason. Like, for example, red lipstick. I maybe would not use this. I think red is a bad example, but for example, I'm doing a dark lipstick project pan right now, which I will link here. It's focused specifically on dark lipsticks that I'm trying to use up in my collection. And I have been better about using dark lipsticks this year because of that than I was in the past. And those are products that I would not reach for organically. But a lot of the time when I use them, I'm like, oh, I actually do like this look. Like, it's intimidating to me, but I'm glad that I'm wearing it. I filmed another video today and I was wearing a dark lipstick and I really, really like the look. And I would not have used that lipstick if not for the project pan. So I find it's a great way of getting myself to use products, not that I dislike, but that are just hard to use, that I need a little bit of an extra push to use. I need a bit of an extra push to practice my violin. And so thinking back on project panning goals, what I've realized is there can't be an end goal, at least not for me. It doesn't make sense, because project panning is a continual process. It's a continually changing process because of what's in our collection. If we finish a product, then we need to bring something new in. We're always going to have something else that we can pan. It would kind of be like thinking of grocery shopping and eating as having end goals. You need to do those things constantly. It's not something that, like, you know, once you've grocery shopped and had your food for the day, like, you're done. You can check off that achievement. It's not like a marathon where you train for it and you get ready and then you run the marathon and then it's finished and you achieved your end goal. With, like, grocery shopping and cooking, those are things that you need to do all the time. We always need to be eating. That's just something that is continual in our lives. And with project panning, I just need to keep doing it over and over again. When I finish a product, I start using a new product. If I run out of concealer, then I have to go out and buy a concealer and then pan that one. It's a never-ending project. And a never-ending project just cannot have an end goal. I don't think that I recognized this when I started project panning. I definitely did not realize that it would be a never-ending project. I probably thought that I was just going to do it that first year, 2020, do a project pan. However, every single year since then, I have embarked on another year-long project pan. It just hasn't ended. I think if when I started project panning, I had realized that it would be a long-term thing, I think that would have been more daunting to me to think, this makeup no buy / makeup low buy is not just for this year until I get my collection to a smaller size, and then I can go back to how things were before, where I was just constantly bringing in new makeup products. If I had realized that I would never again be able to go back to my former makeup purchasing ways, I don't know that I ever would have started trying to change my mindset and switching over to this underconsumption journey, because I saw it as a short-term thing, a short-term change to makeup. But this is a lifelong adventure. Now, I don't know if I will be project panning for YouTube for the rest of my life. That's not what I'm saying. But just in terms of my approach to using my makeup products, I will from now on always be trying to fully finish my makeup products. I never want to be throwing out expired makeup. I always want to be finishing off my makeup products before getting new makeup. So yes, the short-term goal is finishing up products, but the long-term goal is to never stop project panning, whether that is being documented for YouTube or not. And maybe that's not what you want to hear, because maybe you want to think about an end goal to project pan. You want to feel like one day you will achieve your perfect collection, and then you will never have to worry about makeup low buys or no buys or project panning again. But if you do ever achieve a collection that is perfect for you, maintaining that will take work. It's not just like, okay, we achieved it and we're good, We achieved it, and so now we need to keep it this way by not hoarding makeup, by not doing big makeup hauls, by actually finishing the products in our collection and then restocking them when we finish. It's a constant cycle with no end. So if I actually want to think through tangible goals when it comes to project panning, there's really 3 different time periods, right? There's short-term goals, there's medium-term goals, and then there's long-term goals. So short-term goals, I would say, is just finishing products. This is anywhere from like right now to the end of the year. Next few months, I would say, is short-term. That's the point of project panning, ostensibly, to finish up your makeup products. But that's just a short-term goal. When we think about longer term goals, so in the medium length, maybe within the next year, maybe next year or 2 or 3 years, my goals with Project Pan are to figure out what I like and what I don't like and why. And I don't think I could have articulated at the beginning of this journey that was even possible. But I think that project panning helps you to realize when you are so focused on using up a product, that's when you really figure out what it is that you like and don't like about it. If you have 15 concealers that you are regularly rotating through, it's probably pretty difficult to figure out how they compare to each other and why you reach for one and not the other. And one of them you probably haven't reached for since last September, But if you're using the same concealer every single day for 2 months, you're going to figure out if you love it, if you hate it, what you don't like about it, and why it does or doesn't work for you. But that takes a little bit longer. That takes comparison between different products and using something for months on end. So I would say that's more of a medium-term goal. Project panning has helped so much with that for me. And then in the long term, my goals, which Project Pan can help with, are to achieve a collection that has been fully curated and that I love. This, of course, I have been working towards for years and years and years, and I'm finally getting close to that. I think it's still a ways away to get down to a collection that I fully love. But yes, even if by the end of 2025 I get down to 125 makeup products, which is my goal in terms of size, I don't think that's necessarily going to put me in a place where I love every single makeup product, but at least that feels more curated. So this is a long-term goal because it is constantly in flux, because my preferences constantly change, and because I finish some things and bring in other things. So this is a long-term goal that requires commitment and maintenance. And in that long term, I don't even know if it's feasible for me to ever get to a point where every single item in my collection is a holy grail. People love the idea of minimalism or a curated closet. What's it called when you have like a uniform, basically? People love the idea of minimalism because it's like, oh yeah, you don't have a lot of stuff, but every single thing is perfect. It's your perfect fit. It's your perfect preference in terms of like texture and consistency and shade. But I don't know if it's ever possible to have a collection where everything is a holy grail. Or if it is, that means that there won't be as much variety as I personally like. And it also means that you have nothing to compare to. So if you're using a mascara that you love so much every single day, then it doesn't feel as special anymore. Like today, I am doing one of my like favorite faces of makeup where I use all my favorite makeup products because I have a wedding later on, and so I wanted it to really look good. And so it was exciting to use all of my favorite makeup products today, but it's only exciting because for this previous week, I wasn't using my favorite products, and so today feels like an extra special treat. And so without that comparison, I don't feel like I love these products as much. They don't stand out as much if they were just the default products, if they were all that I had. And speaking to variety, there are some things that just can't really be a holy grail. Like for example, I have this like lime green stick eyeshadow in my collection that is so flattering on me. I love how it looks. But if I had a collection without variety or where it was only holy grails, this wouldn't be in it. My holy grails are like light pink with maybe a bit of shimmer eyeshadows. I wouldn't call this a holy grail, but I love it. And so I need that variety, even if variety means less minimalism, more products, not things that I'm necessarily organically reaching for all the time. That being said, those items still deserve a place in my collection. Another long-term goal for me is to always be project panning. This may change in the future. Maybe I'll get to a point where I don't feel like I need to project pan anymore. But right now, this seems like something that will always be helpful for me because it's been 6 years and I still enjoy it and I still think that it is useful. Even though I've now figured out for the most part my preferences, what I like and don't like, these things are always changing. And so this is just the best way of staying in touch with what my preferences are and also staying in touch with my whole collection and making sure that I'm using products that I wouldn't organically reach for. It really helps me be engaged with my whole collection, and as I mentioned, it helps me to truly appreciate the products that are my very favorites because I'm not reaching for them every day, because I'm project panning other products most of the time. So that is everything that I wanted to cover today. That was just my take on what is the end of Project Pan or what is the goal of Project Pan. I would encourage you to look up that other creator and see their video because, again, I think everyone uses Project Pan differently and has a different approach, a different mindset towards panning and towards underconsumption. So I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. But lastly, let's talk about a book that I've been reading lately. So this book was so hyped up. I want to say it came out like 2 years ago and everyone loved it, and it didn't super interest me, so I didn't read it, but it is being made into a movie. It is coming to TIFF. I live in Toronto, the Toronto International Film Festival, in September, and everyone's talking about it. And so I'm like, okay, it's on audiobook, I'll give it a listen. And I'm almost done. I have 22 pages left. And this is good, but I'm not loving it. It's overhyped in my opinion, but I also think like there was a reason I didn't reach for it initially. I just wasn't super interested in the premise. Basically, it is about William Shakespeare's family. This is sort of an imagined version or fictionalized. We know very little about William Shakespeare's life and his wife and his kids, and so it sort of imagines what his life was like. He is not the main character. His wife is the main character, and the central plot point of the book is that his young son, Hamnet, dies from tuberculosis. I think it's only ever called the plague. And this entirely shifts their family dynamic. And yeah, we see how both parents grapple with this and how it affects their families and their like in-laws. And we see how it makes Shakespeare retreat from his family and move away to London. They all still live in Stratford and he only visits them every so often. It's I don't know, like, I think it's well written. It's just not super interesting to me. I don't know if it's that I'm not super interested in like books taking place in the 1400s, or it's that I don't want to read about parents who lost their child. Like, I don't know, just something about it is not the most engaging to me. So this is like a 3-star book. But if you like nice writing and you find books inspired by the life of Shakespeare interesting, then yeah, I think it would be a good book for you. But I probably am going to see the film at the festival if people like it, if it's supposed to be good, because I am intrigued. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next week.